Hello, everybody. Kyle Madson.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought it was going to be on KSFM. I'm leaving.
Fresh off a workout, Kyle Madson, a midday workout.
Yeah, I tried to squeeze it in before because I like doing this hit and then like pouring up a drink and I'm done for the day. So I try and squeeze my workout in beforehand because your boy's trying to get back in shape. And I always cut it way too short where I do half an hour and then I have time to like sit in front of the fan and like cool down, but then I shower and I'm still sweaty after I get out of the shower. I got to give myself more time, man.
Oh, yeah.
The midday workout.
That post sweat after a shot, that's tough.
Oh, yeah.
It's really tough. Like I'm going to have to shower again.
Yeah.
Like I'm in that state. I'm a sweaty dude. No, I was having a great day. But one of your guys' people in the Kings universe really triggered me today, and that person's living in my head rent free now. Yeah, because I can't believe.
By the way, rent-free.
Yeah.
You said what?
Very Bonte Hill term you used right there. Rent free.
It's the dumbest phrase on the. Someone talks trash to you, and then you talk trash back, and they're like rent free. Like, no, man, like you started this. What? Anyways, so I was doing yard work and being productive, and I check my phone while doing yard work to make sure I haven't missed anything big, like a Nick Bosa contract. And I look at my mentions, and there was somebody in my mentions. It was De'Aaron 916 Fox or something like that. I don't think it was actually De'Aaron. And they said Kevon Looney is trash. And I can't believe that we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, those are the people you don't listen to.
I can't, like, that's
Those
what we're
are the
doing.
people you don't listen to, Kyle. I mean, Kevon Looney.
He's not an all-star or anything, but, like, Draymond Green shooting threes is trash. Kevon Looney is not that.
Kevon Looney, he's been good in this league for a while. If you've been paying attention, like, it wasn't just these playoffs. Like he's
a good
I
player.
like Kevon Looney.
Really solid player.
He's great at his role.
Anyways, that just really triggered me today.
Yeah,
I'm upset.
That person, evict him.
They're muted for sure.
He doesn't need to live rent free anymore.
Anyways,
What do you think about the Kings Warriors being a very feature matchup the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the NBA season?
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. You know, these are two teams that are supposed to likely be fighting for a playoff spot and honestly might be fighting for the same playoff spot. So why would you not want to run those at least toward the end of the season? I was listening to James on your guys' show the other day and I thought he made a great point. Why would you not separate those out over the course of the season? Okay, have one in October, but then have one in December, and then have one in February, and have one in March, and kind of see the growth of each team throughout the year so you can really get an idea. That's based on what we saw last season. That's what I would do. I understand you can't necessarily do that with every single team, but man, they're an hour and a half up the road from each other. It's not like a grueling travel schedule to throw it in during a separate road trip. So I would have definitely spread those out.
Yeah,
I don't like that they're all at the start.
Could have and should have put one on Christmas.
Or at least on payday.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay, they too. But I mean, yeah, the 3 games within the first month of the season.
Yeah,
that's really excessive.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know. I don't
the
really
second
know what
straight
that's
year.
all about.
I think the Kings nationally are going to have to, and this is not me saying this. I think this is just where like good teams, when you ascend from where the Kings were to, the number 3 seed in the West, you have to do it a couple years in a row for the league to kind of take notice and adjust the schedule accordingly. That's probably what that is.
I hear you.
But I wouldn't have done it that way.
45.5 over under for Warriors wins this year.
Ooh, I think just over.
45.5 Kings wins this year.
Over.
Okay.
What?
So
go ahead.
Sorry, what are you not buying something with the Golden State Warriors? Are you not buying the Chris Paul thing? Is Steph can only do so much? The roster? What is it?
What if I was just out on Steph Curry? I'm like, Steph's done. No. Last year was so bad, dude. It was really, really bad. And I understand the Jordan Poole factor, and that's fine. But I'm not 100% sure yet that they got better with Chris Paul, or at least this version of Chris Paul. And I need to see it before I'm going to be like, yeah, the Warriors are going to win 50 plus games and be in the hunt for the 1 seed. I can't get there. Jonathan Kuminga has to be able to contribute on a night by night basis. I think they're going to have to get something from one of their rookies, even if it's a small rotation role. Clay is going to have to bounce back from a really rough playoff performance. There's just a lot of question marks. Like, how does Draymond Green age? How does his game age with another year? And now that he's got that 4-year, $100 million contract under his belt, what does his game look like? So I think Dario Saric is going to be a really nice ad. I think that's going to be a super fun piece, but I just have too many questions based on what we saw last year. I'm not ready to jump back in and go, yeah, hey, they're back. They're going to be great. I can't get there without seeing it.
You know, this is the gift and the curse of having all-time great players on the roster still trying to produce and win a championship, and it's a great problem to have. I'd take this problem in a heartbeat. But when you talk about, like, I know a lot of people talking about Chris Paul when he comes over, and I see these videos of Jonathan Kuminga, and people are really excited about him. And I'm like looking at both of those guys, and we even started off talking about Kevon Looney and what he was able to do in the playoffs and how productive he was. Like, this is all good. Are any of these guys going to be able to finish a game? And I'm really big on the finishers, not as much the starters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Kuminga's ready to finish a game, is Draymond going to fall back? Or is Clay going to fall back? Is that going to make put him in a different space mentally with the team? Like, those are the things that I worry about, where the best thing for them, to me, and this is no shade to him, I promise, but if you're going up against a Jokic, the best thing would probably be to have Chris Paul coming off the bench, maybe, and you put Draymond at the 4 and Kevon Looney at the 5. But is Chris Paul going to accept that? Who's going to finish? If you have to take Clay off, is he going to accept that? Wiggins is your best perimeter defender. How is that supposed to look? There's a lot of questions, and I don't know if they get solved in holy matrimony, for lack of a better term. Like, somebody's going to be upset.
I tend to agree with you. And I think that Draymond last year in saying that in the playoffs, saying I'll come off the bench, like, okay, that's great. But is he going to be willing to do that if they are a couple games under 500 at the end of November? And it's just really clear that, you know what, he's not quite there. Is he going to be going to the coaching staff going, hey, I can't close games anymore? That's Jonathan Kuminga's spot now. You mentioned Clay. I can't fathom that Clay Thompson is going to be like, yeah, I'll come off the bench. And that might ultimately be what undoes them. And I get it to an extent, but it's part of the reason that I'm not just going to buy like, oh yeah, they're going to figure it out and everything's going to be great, because I thought they'd figure it out last year and they never did. So that's going to be fascinating to watch, not even from a basketball standpoint, but just from a personality management standpoint for Steve Kerr, because that's going to be tough.
Is this Kuminga thing with Jonathan Kuminga ever going to work?
Have you seen the workout videos, bro?
I've seen a lot of workout
just
videos.
Cash money from dude. He's banging threes from the corner. He's dunking. I'm in.
What's to Kenny's point when he's going to play?
No,
I going to take a step back so he can shine.
So that's the question, because to both of your guys' points, if Jonathan Kuminga is doing what Jonathan Kuminga needs to do, he should probably be closing games, just because of if he's the peak of what they think he can be, or maybe not the peak, but if he's ascending toward what they think he can be, he's guarding 1 through 4, 1 through 5, depending on the 5. And he's knocking down corner threes. If you're playing defense and hitting open threes from the corner, like, you have to be on the court to close. And to me, that's like, I don't think they can win if he's not that version of himself. And if he's just a guy who's getting 18 minutes a night sporadically and not in the playoff rotation, I don't know how they just lacked so much athleticism and size last year. And he brings that. Just how do they get him on the court is what they're going to have to figure out.
The Warriors are kind of fascinating. They are, because there's a lot of things going on with them. I could see them being a 50-plus win team with the talent that they have on there. Mm-hmm. But are they going to have the cohesion to win that?
Well, Jordan
games?
Poole's gone now, so it's fine.
Oh well, there. Oh, that reminds. Did you see Andre Iguodala?
I did.
That
Yeah, I did.
That was interesting.
Gilbert
to hear,
Arenas podcast.
Yeah, to hear Iggy, somebody who was there, talk about Jordan that way, and it was. I thought that was what was needed. To be honest, from a guy like Steph Curry, I love Steph. Steph's my guy, but somebody be like, "Hey, man, Jordan is nice. Like, y'all need to stop with all this Jordan talk. Like, this guy is cool. Yeah, we had to do what we had to do for our franchise, but he's a hell of a ball player." And he did kind of say something like that, but I don't know. I thought what Iggy said was a little more impactful than anybody that's been on.
Well, Steph has to toe the line of not making Draymond mad. Iguodala doesn't have to necessarily worry about that the way Steph does. But I'm with you. You gotta.
I disagree. I think Draymond has to toe the line of not making Steph mad because Steph can go, "Hey,
That's the secret of the Warriors offseason that nobody wants to bring up is when they traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. And there was, oh man, the front office and this and that. It's like, dude, this is what Steph wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Steph was pulling these triggers as much as Mike Dunleavy Jr. was.
Yep.
If Steph wanted Mike Dunleavy Jr. fired tomorrow, they're doing it.
Yep.
It's just
100%.
that's
and Steph and Dre are great.
Yep.
Like they're good. That's his guy.
Yep.
So hey, I wish I had a friend that give me paid $100 million. What are y'all two doing?
Chilling.
Draymond got a friend that got him $100 million contract, and I got you guys.
Got to step our game up.
Yeah,
you gonna trade me down south?
Let me be a slouch and get $100 million.
I gotta go punch John Bull in the face.
What John Bull do? That's tremendous. Well, no, and that's it. Well,
John is great. I love John to death.
Now we got to trade John Bull to 1140. Damn.
Oh no.
Well.
Yikes.
Sorry, John.
He's gonna put up numbers over there, though.
He'll put up. He most definitely will. He most definitely will. Do you think another basketball question? I have a list of football stuff here, but you started with basketball. Are you what's your mindset with the West? Reading like, oh, the West is loaded again, and I feel like that is just regurgitated offseason after offseason after offseason. Brad's here. You got Chris Paul with the Golden State Warriors. How do you feel about the conference as a whole?
I think it's loaded, but it's also open. So I don't think that. Okay, the Suns have a really top heavy roster, and they can win a game on any given night. But I think that's probably the case for. I'd call Denver the favorite again.
Mm-hmm.
But what does Memphis look like with Marcus Smart now? Because I think Marcus Smart is the kind of player that can change a culture there in a way that you see Memphis maximize themselves in a way they were never going to with Dylan Brooks and that group there. And what does Ja Morant look like when he comes back? I just think you could tell me like 7 teams in the West won it. And I don't think I would be super shocked. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
7 seems high.
Denver, Phoenix, Sacramento, Golden State.
Obviously.
Memphis?
Nah, not for me. Not for me.
So those I think Denver's in a tier by themselves at the top.
I agree. Yeah,
and then I think there's a second tier that is Phoenix, Golden State, and Sacramento.
LA? Either one? Both of them?
Ooh.
Because that's where I
probably
thought
both of them. Yeah, probably both of them. Yeah.
That's
you know what? Lakers, yes. Clippers, no. I would be shocked if you told me the Clippers went to the finals. Shocked.
Well, it's never happened before.
I know. So many things have to go right for them that just don't go right for them ever.
Well, really, only 2 things need to go right.
Right, like one. Well, 2, 1.
Paul's health, Kawhi's health.
Do we know for sure that healthy Kawhi is still that dude?
Yeah, I feel like I do.
Yeah, he showed he was. That
I think
dude
February showed us.
February and March.
Yeah,
he was a problem.
It's just,
but that's the thing. Well, right, for the 7th year in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
That would be my greater surprise. Is like, oh, they got healthy for a year and made a run. That would be.
I get you. That's not what you could.
You know what the funny thing? Kawhi was hurt in the finals.
Yeah.
Kawhi was hurt against the Warriors.
That's the sneaky thing. He was dragging his legs at the end of that game 6.
Yep.
If they had to go to a game 7, if Clay hadn't gotten hurt, it might have been scary hours for Toronto.
Could have been bad. Yeah, it could have been bad.
Either that or they would have rolled him by 30.
Yeah, that's what
I'm just saying he was hurt in the finals.
You know
he was hurt. I think through a chunk of that playoffs, not all of it, but something happened somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but I remember like, oh, Kawhi's injured, and then the finals, it was like, oh, Kawhi's hurt.
The Clippers are an interesting situation for sure. They are. I think they've got enough talent to be able to still push through with all that, but they are pretty interesting.
Ty Lue is also excellent.
He is.
Yes.
He is. Yeah. Now, Ty Lue, they say he's really good at developing young players. We see Steve Kerr, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, Wiseman. You know, maybe he's not the best at developing young players. Is this an issue that Bay Area coaches have? Because in the Bay Area, they can't.
You think Jordan Poole didn't develop?
The transition was cool. No, Jordan Poole was phenomenal. I was just trying to find a way to transition to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
What a pro. It's really good. Really good. Terrific stuff by you.
What's going on? Hey, man. They need to leave Trey alone. They really – I didn't think – where do I start? Sunday wasn't good. I don't think it was the worst quarterback performance I've ever seen in my life, the way some people were talking. Like, it was just was below average. But they're also acting like this is it. This was his game, and that's it. He's just no good. He's not good.
Yeah, well, he came into the league in 2021 knowing that there's just a bunch of different angles to this Trey Lance conversation, and everybody's trying to squeeze it into one basket. And the fact is there's like 6 baskets that Trey Lance discussions fall into. He needed to play games when he came into the league. That was just the thing. That was when they drafted him. It was like, wow, he has a lot of developing to do. He's going to have to play. They might not be very good when he plays right away, but they're going to let him develop. He was never going to make a magical leap, dude. He got hurt early in week 2 last year on the first drive of the game. He had 1 start and then a second start. He got hurt on the first drive, and then he hasn't played football since. For a dude that just needed to play football. Like, of course he doesn't look much better. But that doesn't mean he stinks. That doesn't mean he's never going to be good. Is his time running out with the 49ers? Probably. Like, that's probably where this is headed because their timeline doesn't match up with his. And that's fine. I'm still a believer that Trey Lance is going to be a good player. Whether that's with the 49ers, I'm becoming more and more doubtful. But that doesn't mean that he's awful or that what we saw on Sunday is like, yep, that's done. That's the player he is. He's so bad. Look, he's in his 3rd year and that's still how he looks. Like, yeah, of course, he hasn't played any freaking football. So I'm like I said, I still defend him. I wouldn't fault the 49ers if they made Sam Darnold the backup this year because they think that he is more ready to do what Kyle Shanahan needs him to do. Fine. But I am a firm believer that the best version of Trey Lance is not close to the surface yet.
Real quick, Dame. The other thing that I don't understand, I feel like everybody's kind of overlooking this and just not taking it into consideration. Mm-hmm. That was the first time he stepped on it in an NFL game since he broke his leg. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a hurdle that he's got to get past. He just got past it on Sunday, you know, and was it with flying colors? No, but like, that's something that maybe regardless of how he played and what he looked like, he could go home at night and be like, whew, I did it. I'm back. I was kind of nervous of how I would feel. It's okay. Like, but nobody talks about that. It's just, he's indecisive and he looks slow and all this other stuff. Like, guy just broke his leg less than a year ago and he's back on the field. Like, that's something that he's got to get through too.
And honestly, his issue on Sunday against the Raiders was an issue that I think can be fixed like this week. He just needs to throw the football. He was so, and it wasn't that he wasn't seeing it. it wasn't like he was looking in the wrong place or bringing his eyes down and looking at the rush. Like, no, how many times did he pump fake to an open guy and then just not let the ball go? Because he's so worried about making a mistake. And Kyle Shanahan, after the game, the touchdown that he threw that the defensive back bobbled and it went to Ross Dwelley, went for a touchdown. Shanahan complimented that play because he saw the window and he threw it. Ball placement could have been better, but dude, he saw it and let it rip. That's what they want. And so if he comes out against the Broncos and throws a couple picks, but he's being decisive and maybe just the ball placement wasn't great, or maybe it gets tipped or a defender makes a nice play, I think Shanahan will quote unquote, grade that performance better than if he's holding onto the ball and not throwing interceptions because he's just not throwing it at all. So that's what I'm looking for out of him on Saturday is, dude, when you get to the top of your drop, just throw it. Like you're looking in the right place. Just trust your eyes and trust your arm and get rid of it. And I think that would go a long way toward getting him back in this, backup quarterback race.
So, okay, that's actually where I was going. Based on what you said leading into that very last sentence, I got the impression you don't think Trey Lance can be the backup quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, or is that wrong?
What do you mean don't think he can?
Well, like he's not going to be able to develop. Like I got the impression maybe you think he's got to go somewhere else to develop.
Yeah, I think.
And do you want an undeveloped
yes.
quarterback being your backup quarterback?
I think he can develop in San Francisco.
I think he can too, but he would have to play, and the first couple games might look like Sunday, where it's like, ooh, this is a little bit of a mess.
And
but again, they're going to
can you afford that, or if you're the 49ers, can you afford that?
Right, and that's why I think they keep him this year. All this stuff like they're going to trade him or cut him, I think that's insane because they're like you're not winning a quarterback a Super Bowl. Brandon Allen. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Brandon Allen, but he's not that player. Like, he's just not. So I think they're going to keep Trey Lance, and right now, based on what we see, he's probably going to be the third quarterback because they think if Brock Purdy goes down, that Sam Darnold is more ready to step in and lead the team now, where there won't be a drop-off, and maybe there is even going to be an improvement over what Brock Purdy was offering. And then if Darnold goes down, okay, now Lance falls backwards into starting games, and they hope that he improves with the starts that they were hoping he would get last year. So I think he can. I just don't know that the 49ers are willing to make him the backup where he's one injury away from coming in, because they might lose a couple of games that he starts out of the gate because of indecisiveness or just the fact that he's still learning how to play one of the hardest positions in sports.
The thing with me, and I try not to do this because it's not fair when people do it to Lance, but Sam Darnold, I mean, I know it's a different situation. I mean, he's shown next to nothing to make anybody believe he can win you football games.
Sure.
He's so next. It's so like when people are so confident that he gives you the best chance to win. If it's just about if it's about the weapons, because the people he's got better weapons around him, then Trey will have those same weapons around him.
And that's why I think one of the most ridiculous things in this now 4-month conversation is being so definitive in who's better. We have no idea who's better. We just pointed out how different it'll look probably this weekend for Sam Darnold and Trey Lance, given they're playing with kind of a different set of players on the depth chart, going against a different set of players on the depth chart. And come Monday, we're not going to have a definitive answer as to who's better.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, with this Niners offense, it's not about the ceiling of the quarterback. It's about the floor. And right now, Sam Darnold's floor is higher just by virtue of having played more. Like, watch Sunday. He just looked more comfortable running an NFL offense because he's played. He has 55 starts under his belt. Trey Lance has 4.
Yeah.
And one of those he got hurt on the first drive. So it's just, I think that's how the 49ers are looking at it. If it was me, I'd make Lance the backup and be like, dude, maybe he figures it out. And that's how it's going to go. But if they look at Sam Darnold and they go, hey, you know what? He can do what Brock Purdy does if he has to come in, and maybe even better because he's got a bigger arm and he's a former number 3 pick and he's a little more athletic. Okay. But I also wouldn't be shocked if Sam Darnold gets into a game and starts seeing ghosts and throws the two 2 inexplicable interceptions a game where it looks more like Jimmy Garoppolo than it does Steve Young or whoever he's gotten compared to this offseason. Like I'm not ready to say that Sam Darnold's going to be awesome, but I could see why the Niners would want to make him QB2.
Jesse, we're just gonna keep going here.
We're just blowing through a break.
With that? Yeah, that's what we do. Outside of the quarterback position, is there anything? Let me rephrase that. Just be real with what we're talking about here. Outside the backup quarterback position, is there anything else over the start of training camp that has you maybe raising your eyebrows a little bit? Like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't quite exactly what I thought or hoped.
Yeah, like things like that are concerning.
Yeah.
Their reserves on the offensive line might be worse than I thought. Which is, and that's not to say there are no great backup linemen.
Yeah.
If you're a good lineman, you're starting.
10-man deep offensive lineman.
If you're really lucky, you have 6 offensive linemen that are starting.
Probably the closest.
Yeah, seriously, Philly might be like 7 deep on the offensive line, which is crazy. So they might just be worse than like I imagined though. Like it might be really grim if they suffer 1 injury on the line. It could get really, really bad. And that's not even just like Trent Williams, forget about it. But any of the other players, like they don't have a backup center right now. They don't have a backup tackle on either side who's super capable that you feel good about. So that's been worse than I thought. And then the fact that this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I would just penciled in Isaiah Oliver to be the starting nickel corner. And there's now a big battle there where they have 4 or 5 different players and they're working out different combinations of slot corners with outside corners and trying to find their best 3 guys in the secondary. And I actually think that's going to wind up being a good thing for them, where their secondary might wind up being maybe a little bit better than it was last season.
Is Womack a part of that? Because I like Sammy Womack, but he didn't really get a push last year, and I've heard his name again during training camp. But I mean, is he looked at as a slot guy or an outside guy?
I think maybe both. I think there's some versatility there, but I think they're going to try him at the nickel. Because remember, he won that starting job last year and then lost it to Diamador Lenore in week 3. So I think they believe in Sammy Womack, and I think they're fans, and I think he's going to be in the mix there for sure. But it sounds like the thing they're working now is taking Lenore, who has been outside, and when they bring a third cornerback on, moving Lenore inside and putting Ambry Thomas outside. Because he's been playing really well in training camp and had a really nice preseason debut. So I think Womack's in there. There's an undrafted rookie named Deshaun Jameson. He was the backup kick returner. He's electric on kick returns. He was in college as well, and he was on Sunday. If he can play a little bit at corner and provide some juice in the return game while Ray McLeod is out, I think he has a chance to make the team. The cornerback position is just fascinating now. And I thought it was going to be pretty boring where it's maybe one or 2 guys fighting for that last roster spot, but there's 4 or 5 players in the mix.
Was there anything on Sunday you saw that was encouraging? I like Ronnie Bell a little bit. I can't remember the linebacker's name, number 50.
Jalen Graham. They're so loaded at linebacker. They genuinely on their 90-man roster might have like 8 NFL linebackers. It's insane. Between
offensive line.
Yeah, seriously, but it's Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, obviously, but then it's Jalen Graham, who you mentioned. D. Winters can play. He's the other guy they drafted this year. There's a player named Marcelino McCrary Ball, who was an undrafted rookie last year. He's an NFL player, I think. They have Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, who's been around forever, and I think is an NFL caliber linebacker somewhere. It's crazy how deep they are at that spot. It's really, really nuts.
Where's Cleveland Farrell fit in on everything going on the defensive side?
He might start opposite Nick Bosa. Did you see that move he put on the left tackle to get that sack against the Raiders? That was nice. A little club and a little inside swim move. Yeah. Bar from Guru that
with knives.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Aaron Donald doing that with knives.
No.
Yeah, Cleveland Farrell is Aaron Donald.
This internet video.
It's so dumb. And then you find out they're fake.
They have to be.
They're like rubber. No, they're just rubber, like toy knives. It's like, then what's the point, bro? Just use a stick. There's a tree right there. Just grab a stick.
Sean
No.
McVay stepping in like, stop. Now.
I hate that. I hate that a lot. So my brain almost went super far off track there. Okay, Cleveland Farrell, 3, 2, and 1. I think he's going to start opposite Nick Bosa.
Okay.
And it's more because Austin Bryant has kind of been in and out, and Drake Jackson can't get on the field and hasn't been able to be healthy yet, or at least healthy enough to really string together practices and to be good. Robert Beal, 5th-round draft pick out of Georgia, super athletic, hits every measurable you want from a defensive end. He's back in the mix and might make a push, but Cleveland Farrell has just been consistently throughout camp and then in the preseason. He's just a quality player, and I think they like some versatility from him where he can play inside. So yeah, I think he's going to be a big piece for them because defensive end depth is one of their problems right now, especially since Nick Bosa is still not in camp.
Well.
Monday, by the way, is my deadline before I start worrying about that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So I was, why, is there a significance to that?
Yeah. John Lynch said 3 weeks. He said that when he was a player, he needed 3 weeks before the first game to get in shape, get his body calloused. And so 3 weeks from Sunday is their first game. So if they don't have that contract done where it's being maybe reported Sunday and he's in practice Monday, or maybe it gets signed Monday and then he's out in practice, that's the point where I'm going to start to be a little bit concerned that this might trickle over where he's either not ready to play in the regular season opener, or he's limited in the number of snaps he can play in the regular season opener. That's where I'll start getting concerned. So Monday is my cutoff.
I'm with you. I mean, I don't know if I'm concerned like that it won't get done, because I think no matter how long it takes, it's going to get done. Like if he misses a game or two, it's going to
that would be crazy.
It would be crazy. But to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, Kyle, the end result is always going to be Nick Bosa signs a deal with the 49ers. Like in my opinion. I wish it would happen Monday or sure, but I can't imagine him not signing or them.
It would be
on the whole year or something like that. Like
it would be grounds for firing everybody in the front office.
Yeah.
Like I'm not one of those dramatic like people. It would be grounds to fire everybody in the front office if they do not sign Nick Bosa long term.
I'm absolutely with you. Like that's why I'm like, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like usually, like when you talk about worried about something like that, it's like, man, we might lose this guy. He might leave. They might not get a deal done. They're gonna get a deal done. We all want it done, like you said, 3 weeks out or something like that. So he's ready to play. But Nick Bosa is gonna be a 49er for a long time. The thing that I'm worried about, like you talked about as well with John Lynch, is, you know, he needs to get used to playing. Like he needs to get his body used to playing out there with the rest of his teammates, and maybe even a preseason game, a series if he can. Come to think of it, I don't know if Nick Bosa's ever played a preseason game, but if he did, but you know, something. Usually it's the joint practices is where he gets those type of works in. So that's kind of like you. That's kind of what I'm worried about as far as it like lingering. I don't want him to get a slow start to the season or be, behind the 8 ball starting the season.
The only thing that leaves me scratching my head a little bit, part of me is I'll watch Monday with Kyle, because part of me believes Nick's just missing training camp. Like that's all it is, just not being a part of training camp. Because I feel like the Zach Martin deal was a little bit more complicated than this. This is simple. Even in NFL contract forms, this is simple. Zach Martin's older. He had an existing contract. You had to add money to it. I felt like that was a little bit more complicated, and they got it done. And he got it done with Jerry, for God's sakes.
Right.
Like this to me, part of me wonders if they've come to an agreement like, hey, let's sign the deal on this date, this day. And I promise I'll be ready for game 1. And it's just, I don't want to do 6 weeks of freaking training camp.
So TJ Watt, I just had to Google this to make sure I had this right. TJ Watt did a hold in where he reported, but then just didn't practice. He's just hanging out at the facility. His deal got reported on September 9th. That's when TJ Watt was ready to go, and I don't know when the season opener was. Was that
It's
last
around
year?
that
2
time.
seasons ago?
Yeah.
2 seasons ago. It was, I mean, right there in that range. So maybe he's literally just like, yeah, I'm not doing any training camp.
Yeah, I don't love that though.
I hate that.
I feel like most of those and like if they had done I always point to the Darrelle Revis thing because of Hard Knocks. The Jets were on Hard Knocks. Darrelle Revis was holding out, and the Hard Knocks series ends with Darrelle Revis running onto the practice field with his new contract. If there had been like an epilogue to it, it'd been like 6 weeks later. Yeah, he's out for the rest of the season because he like popped a hamstring or something like that. In week 6 or week 5 or whatever.
Yeah, but even with Bosa though, I would say I don't want to minimize what he does or his job, but his job is pretty cut and dry. Like, go get the quarterback,
Destroy the quarterback.
That's it. And I think Revis is a little different. Like, got to cover this guy, got to know these coverages, got to know tendencies, all this other stuff. Also, go get the quarterback. You know what I mean? Kind of be aware of the run a little bit, but go get the quarterback. Yeah. I think he could be on that TJ Watt plan.
Feels like it's.
Didn't he have like 20-something sacks last year, TJ Watt? After
that was a couple years ago. I think that was the 21 season. Wasn't he hurt for a lot of last year?
He was. He did. Yeah, didn't he got a bad injury? I think
he had like a pec. Was it a pec?
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. Just for fun.
10 games.
Let's try this on for size. Yeah. Look at this group right here.
Oh, hey.
I don't think I can leave because I think it cuts the sound off, so that wouldn't work. I can't leave, but
like
here
the Brady
we are.
Bunch.
Look at this group right here. And if I just left and these guys talk.
Hi, Kyle.
Hey, James. How's it going, man?
What's going on? What's happening?
Oh, just chilling, hanging out with my guys D'Lo and Casey.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Well,
we welcome in our 1320 Kings insider, James Ham, butting heads with our 49ers insider, Kyle Madson.
I've been trying to apply myself lately.
Oh. I feel like we're going inside out right now. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. I like that yellow hat there. What's going on? What's going
Shout out to my man over at Crescendo. You know, Crescendo Clothing. Shout out to my man Ty Adams. Big ups.
That's right.
James, do you want to weigh in on the backup quarterback position before we let Kyle go?
The 49ers backup quarterback position, by the way, not just any.
Well,
he's like, I think Davis Mills.
I need like 2 hours to debate this with Kyle. That's what I need. I need
2 hours to be good.
Like full 2 hours to sit here and debate this with Kyle. Look,
I don't debate before 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or afternoon.
So, yeah. Trey Lance. I'm going to keep making this comparison. Like it's kind of like the Marvin Bagley thing. Like the injuries and the fits and starts to his career, it's made him just not been able to develop at a normal pace. And so when you want him to take a step forward, he might be able to take a step forward in one aspect of the game, but then in other aspects, he doesn't grow. And that makes it really, really difficult, especially when you have Super Bowl aspirations. And so while I like him and I hope that he figures it all out, like the 49ers are a freight train. They do not have time to worry about a scraggler who can't keep up. And he's either got to show he can do it very quickly, or it's going to be the more experienced guys that are going to get a look behind Brock Purdy, at least in my opinion.
Well, we've got plenty of time. Sorry, Kyle.
The thing with interestingly, with Marvin Bagley and Trey Lance, and then also James Wiseman, like injuries just played such a key role for all those guys.
Yes.
Where it's like they just could not stay on the field or on the court and get any better. And like I said earlier, I'm not writing Trey Lance off entirely for his career. I just don't know if it's going to be with the 49ers.
Yeah, and I think we get to a point with players on a specific team where you can see them having an opportunity to find success somewhere else, but because of where your team is right now, you can't have a liability at such a crucial position.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for him, right now, he is a liability until he gets up to speed, and that might not happen. And, we can't sit here and say, well, if you gave him 6 games, he'd work it out, because he's not going to get 6 games. This is a team that has title contention, written all over it. And you just don't have time to wait around for that. And, we deal with it all the time with teams like the Kings or teams like the Warriors. I think it's very, very it crosses over a lot. Like even Kuminga, at least he's been able to stay healthy. You don't love where he's at development wise, but he might be able to fit in and be a player. That's just not the case when you miss so much time. You're missing the finer nuances of the game. Yeah. And that's what watching him get sacked 4 times was like, man, where is your pocket awareness? And you can't expect pocket awareness from a guy who hasn't been in the pocket. I mean, it's tough.
James is hanging out. We're going to let Kyle go. Maybe we'll see more of these guys together.
Maybe.
I feel like we have inside jokes. I don't understand, but
we do. We had this whole show is an inside joke, James.
I'd love to be a part of one someday.
Thank you, Kyle.